Welcome back to the STEM Career Accelerator. We are talking about the job search process, and now it's time for a reality check. Here are some harsh truths about finding a new role. The first thing is about networking. Without networking, you are going to lose about 40% of your access to jobs that you want. You are going to waste time because cold applications take way longer to land a job. So if you want to land a job, network. Otherwise, with cold applications, you're just looking into the void. And the void is basically that space between you knowing somebody that you can talk to, that you can reach out to, that you've been building a relationship with, and asking them about how the job application process is progressing, and you just sending an online one-click application through LinkedIn and never knowing if even anybody really even received it or looked at it, right? That's the void. So network, know people in the employment within the employer, know people that you can contact and reach out to. Not every job is available to you. The truth is that 70% of jobs aren't even posted online. Can you imagine that? That there are jobs that you can't even see online. So if you're just searching online and just uh, sending applications to those that you see online and not networking, then you are missing the so-called hidden job market. The truth is that even some government jobs have so-called preferred candidates, where the job is, of course, listed online because that's what the government has to do. State and federal government certainly has to do that. Um, and and for many of those jobs, there's already a preferred candidate because people are networking. Sometimes you get government hiring managers who actually write job offers, or rather job descriptions, and post them online, but they already have somebody in mind who they prefer to hire for that job. And open until filled may not be available to you or anyone else. There are some companies and employers that they just put jobs up there, and maybe they'll find the unicorn that they want to fill that position. Maybe they won't, but it literally could be open for years, and you just never know. So open until filled is another one of these kind of voids. So be cautious of this, and you can avoid it by networking. The market sets demand. Capitalism equals supply and demand. This is basic economics. This is basic market forces. You are not in control. And if the market isn't hot for your preferred role, then it's going to take even more effort to get it. So make sure you're networking, make sure you're following good practices, make sure you have a good strategy. And getting hired isn't bulletproof. You have to keep networking, at least a little bit. You have to keep your network warm. Don't let your network go cold because you need to do what's called career cushioning. This is a just in case kind of thing. Career cushioning is where you create a pad for yourself that if you need to find a new job in a quick time period, you've been cushioning for it. You've been working with that network to make sure that you understand what the job market is like. You understand who's offering new roles. You have people that you can reach out to if you need a new job suddenly, if you get laid off, or if you get terminated for some reason. Networking is an automatic advantage. 1 in 4 professionals don't even network at all. So don't be that person. If you are networking, it means you're already beat out at least 25% of the competition because there's at least 25% of people that aren't even networking at all. They're just sending cold applications. So do whatever amount of networking you possibly can. Focus on networking. Still apply to these jobs, but networking is the best way to land your most ideal role. Networking has been the most successful way that I have built my career. Absolutely true. The time frame is not necessarily in your control, but a good strategy can help you. You need to be realistic here. For STEM jobs, 6 to 12 months is a realistic time frame to find a new role. This is a process, and you need to be prepared for that. Networking decreases the time frame, but it's not necessarily going to be quick just because you know people. There's still a process that employers need to go through in order to hire somebody, and that takes time. Overall, like I said, the economy and the demand may require you to pivot careers. You may have to make some compromises. You may have to do some satisficing, right? Less ideals and more negotiables, more things you're willing to negotiate on. And Anybody who has gone through the job search process, from the very first job that you find when you finish school to the next job that you're going to be searching for, it will be an emotional process. What happens to us is that we question our identity, we question our value, we deny how difficult or long the process may be early on. We think, oh, tons of jobs, market's thriving, I'm in a good place, I'm in a good position, it's going to be totally fine, and it's going to be a short period of time. Don't underestimate that. And don't overestimate how attractive we are as candidates. It's great to be competent. It's important that we're also confident. But remember, don't overestimate the things that are not in our control. The market's not in our control. Getting hired is not in our control. We can only do our best. But setting up a job strategy is the best way to do it. And make sure that you also are managing your emotions, because we tend to get angry and start blaming other people because we are not fully in control. And so we blame recruiters for not doing their job. We blame employers for wanting a unicorn, or for, not looking at me as the best candidate because I'm sure I am. We blame our family and friends because they get exhausted supporting us. Be prepared for this. Dig deep, because we can also get depressed, and that depression associated with the anxiety of the job search is a vicious cycle. So, how are we going to deal with these harsh realities? First thing is that you need to clarify your expectations. Use the job search strategy tools that I'm making available to you. Remember what your purpose is. Regularly remember and check in with your purpose. Refine it if necessary. Focus on the daily tasks, not the months ahead. You need to have a longer term strategy, but all you can do is what's right in front of you right now. You can only apply to the next job that's due. You can only apply to the highest priority job that application is due, and lean on your emotional support network. Keep a diverse emotional support network. Don't just rely on one person, because that person will get burnt out too. And if you had time before you either lost your most recent job, or before you are kind of in that emergency management mode of I've got to find another job, prepare yourself financially, because you may need to have a gap in employment in order to find your next role. Always work on growing your abundance mindset. Remember all the things that you have. Remember how competent you are. Continue to work on your growth mindset and use the tools that we've made available to you here. Take breaks. You need to take daily breaks. If you need a 15-minute break every hour of work, then do that for yourself. If you need to work in 25-minute blocks and then take an hour off, do that for yourself. Take those breaks at least every day. Take weekly breaks. Apply for 4 days a week and then take a day off. Apply to jobs for only 3 days a week. Set yourself up in a way that works for you, or you will burn out. You will need to take breaks from the job search process, just like you need to take breaks from every stressful job. And the job search process can be a full time job, and it can feel way more stressful than a full time job because, well, you're not getting your basic needs met, right? Like either you're unhappy in your current role and you need to find a new one, or you have a gap in employment and you have no definite income. So don't let yourself burn out. Remember, you got to take breaks. And remember the basics of professional practice. These will help you too. Remember that there are 3 lessons along the way to your deliberate practice, and you need to have a deliberate practice in what you're doing here for finding a job search. Learn through the process as you're doing it, right? So once you achieve something, reward yourself, maintain that balance momentum. Remember that people come first, because networking is number one in the job search. So networking is all about you as a person meeting other people. So people first. All right. And don't forget, it's about the 6 tenets of professional practice: performance, experience, collaboration and feedback, reflection and wisdom. Use these tools. Remember the mindset attributes: commitment, strength, acceptance, self determination, positive self belief. That last one is so important. Remember that you can do this. You can push through and you will find your new role. Remember the don'ts of pragmatic practice. In your job search, remember that real problems happen when you blow off deadlines. When you say, "Oh, I'll get to that application," and then suddenly, oops, it passed. If you weren't tracking your applications, if you weren't using a spreadsheet or some other tool to track things, you might miss deadlines. Make sure that your communication is as concise, as positive, as direct as possible so that you don't fall into the trap of communicating poorly. Putting speed and convenience above quality is not necessarily what you want to do in the job search process. You don't necessarily want to find the next job as quick as possible. Maybe you do need to do that. Maybe you just need a stepping stone. Maybe you need to secure your income. Okay, so no judgment on that. But remember that the highest quality job is going to come from being patient, methodical, and strategic. You can assume things, but if you assume without asking questions, then you may be asking for trouble. So instead of assuming, ask questions. Asking questions is totally fine. People expect you to ask questions. Ask questions during interviews. Understand what you need to understand in order to make sure that the next job that you take is a good one for you. If you are not following good, solid advice that you're getting from others, if you're not following the instructions listed in applications to the T, then you are going to be facing some problems. There will be consequences for that. So be sure to follow the good advice of your friends, colleagues, and other people in your network, and make sure that you follow the instructions on applications. Relationships are paramount. You're going to have problems if you're not networking. If you're not creating effective relationships during an interview, you're not going to get that job, or you're not going to at least maintain that person in your network that you could possibly get some help from in getting the job, even if they're not going to hire you for the one that they're interviewing you for. Okay? So you're going to do great. You're going to find your next job. It's going to take strategy, effort, patience, and some time, but you are going to get there. Look forward to seeing you in the next session.